Hey, Star Wars Unlimited fans, what's going on? It's Star Wars Ultimate Unlimited. And in this video today, we're going to talk about Spark of Rebellion versus Shadows of the Galaxy. Shadows of the Galaxy has been out for, a few months so far? And since July, so August, September. Yep, we're headed toward October. And this set, this set has seen its ups and very much downs of a first set. Hopefully, this is not like a precursor to future sets coming out, which I highly doubt. We have Twilight of the Republic coming out, I believe, in November. So November is looking pretty good. I know they released some of the cards out yet that are out for previews, and they look pretty good. I think they're a little bit better than the legendaries in this set, but we'll talk about this in a little bit of specificness. And we'll start off with in Shadows of the Galaxy. There's just very weak leaders. I think weak leaders are not necessarily terrible leaders because remind yourself that in future sets there will be support for these units, and of course, in set 1 the units also will have various support as well. It just kind of sucks having a leader that doesn't have like a universal ability, and that is very specific. Specific abilities can be good. It can be really good. It depends on what you have or what they actually bring as far as future sets are concerned. Cards like Fennec Shand, she has the ambush, I believe. Cad Bane, of course, with the Underworld. Hondo with, I think, Smuggle, along with Lando. Bosk with Bounty. Jabba with Bounty. Bo-Katan does not have... Well, she kind of works with Mandalorians more. So, in that sense, it's kind of okay. She can kind of get around that ability, but you kind of want to, play in Mandalorians and have a ton of those. And my unfortunate favorite here, my least favorite, is Dr. Aphra. Now, when it comes down to card games, in any card game, if you have, a certain leader with an ability, for example, Dr. Aphra has the ability to mill a card, that's take the card off the top of your deck and put it into your discard pile, there's got to at least be some kind of support for the character in the set. And there's maybe none at all, besides restock from set 1, which doesn't really, doesn't matter. So it's kind of a bummer that there's no cards that, when overturned, can, trigger an ability and stuff. This is definitely a future-proofed leader that is going to be something in the future. I can feel it. I think it's going to slowly creep up as expansions are released. There's maybe 1 or 2 cards that do an overturn ability. Give them the chance to play the card for free or, something to that nature. But in terms of the gameplay and balance, is it going to break the game? Hopefully not. With that being said, I think that Dr. Aphra can be a good card. It can be a really good card. Really good leader, really good ability. But right now, it's not. It is not playable. Not playable at all. So Shadows of the Galaxy also is pretty bad for the reprints. Now, I get it. I think the reprints are good to have in terms of draft, and I think that was the idea behind these 5 cards or so. That they were viable for draft, giving them some, different options. But it just kind of sucks when you open a pack and you get the 25th Cargo Juggernaut you own. Or the Disabling Fang Fighter. If there was alternate art for these cards, okay, fine, I can understand them being in the set, sure. But they're just the regular reprint of Cargo Juggernaut and Surprise Strike and Disabling Fang Fighter, so on and so forth. And just given another number on the bottom. Still common, though. That's pretty good. It just sucks when you get 2 of them in a pack and you're just really, dude? that could have been something else. That could have been a different card. That could have been better odds of getting an uncommon. Well, not uncommons, they're all commons. But, just some new stuff in the set over the old stuff. Now, I can understand if these cards were, in a way, short printed, but I'm not too sure about the short printiness of these reprints, in this case, reprints of cards. I don't feel that they are, because sometimes you'll get like 2 or 3 in a pack, and you're just like, really? And that rare, and that, there's got to be a hyperspace in there or something to be worth having. But I know it does happen. It kind of, I don't know, it just feels like it cheapens the pack a little bit. So let's talk about keywords. There are about a few keywords in this set. Pretty cool mechanics, understandable, but I think the only one that actually works pretty well is Smuggle. I think Smuggle is the best one so far in the set. There's no way around it. Smuggle is a lot of fun. Reminds me of playing Yu-Gi-Oh! With trap cards and stuff like that. You just flip it over. However, I will say the Smuggle does come with a little bit higher of a cost. And of course, if your deck doesn't have any Smuggle cards, you can play Tech, and then you can actually, play these cards +1, or the cost of the card +1, to be correct. And you can smuggle out your own units. So Tech is actually a really cool card. And let's go on to, what else is there? Capture. Capture, I don't see anyone playing Capture. it's just there. They have some pretty cool cards for Capture, but it's just kind of sucks, especially when you do like a super laser and it blows up your whole board and you got like 2 captured units that your opponent now can have for free, and they're on the board for free, and they're, damage free as well. So that's Capture, I think, has to have a little bit more to it. I would say a little bit more protection on Capture. Other than that, I can see where it's going with it, but it's just, if it's something game breaking, I'll capture it, sure, but in the end, it's like you got to protect that character who has Capture with, experience counters, shields, but you got to be careful of Fell the Dragon, Power of the Dark Side, and all these other cards out there that just knock it out in 2 seconds. Bounty, I feel, is also like my second best. I like, because you can make some bounty decks with Bosk, and it's actually pretty cool getting the double bounty off his flip. And I like the idea behind bounty. They're not upgrades, and they cost really cheap, 0, 1, or 2, to be a little bit more extreme on that. It just feels slow. Like that's how I feel about bounties. They feel slow and maybe unrewarding. The only one I would say is like the Client. The Client is a fun card to put into bounty decks because you just kind of tap him, he shield it, and you give someone a bounty, and then you knock that that character out, and then you get the heal, which is pretty good. So, and now we're going to talk about the price of the cards and the price of the set. Set 1 is still king, period. It is still a good set, sought-after set with a ton of staples. You have your Darth Vaders, you have your Luke Skywalkers, Millennium Falcon. Oh, God, what else? There's a ton of them. Mace Windu, not really a staple, but he's still pretty good. You have Ewing support. You have Super Laser Blast, Avenger, Redemption. There's so many good cards in this set. I can't even think of them right now. A Boba Fett, too. The 3/5 is pretty good. But now you have Toro Calican, which is actually pretty good, too. If you're running a villainy deck, Toro is actually your budget, quote-unquote, budget Boba Fett. And does a little bit more extra damage, too. But yeah, like all these cards are just, high-value cards. Cunning. Command's not too bad. Aggression's not too bad. You have Cunning. You have Vigilance. Like, those are like your big boy cards. And they're absolutely astonishing prices. I listen, I don't know about you, but paying like $40, $50 for a copy is a little bit too much as far as I'm concerned. But still, it is what it is, and you do what you do with your money. Set 2, however, was the regular price, which I think it was like $120, $130 in that range, and then it just tanked. It dropped. It is under $100 as of this recording. It is like $98 or like $80 something for a box, which is actually perfect for a lot of people to get into the game right now. I think this is your best bet to get into the game. If you don't have set 1 cards, do not worry, do not fear. Play with Shadows. wait for the reprint set coming out soon, get your hands on some set 1 cards, and enjoy the game. Right now, I think with people who are beginning, if you are beginner players, set 2 is where you want to start because it's the cheapest, and you can make some pretty cool decks with this set. They're not terrible leaders. You have new Han Solo. You can say Cad Bane. You can say Bosk. Bosk is all bounty cards, and this set has all bounty cards you can play within set 2. In a way, Fennec Shand also has a good way to do that too. So there are like not necessarily meta-defining leaders, but there are leaders in there that actually do work. And of course, I want to talk to you about the consistency of cards in the set. Now, if you see my previous video, there is box opening, and it had Snoke. We had a Crate Dragon, which now I own 3 copies of, and a couple other crappy cards too. Once again, also just really crappy legendaries too. Not really good legendaries at the moment, I will say. I will reiterate this again. At the moment, right now, they're not good. If you're into capturing or getting all these cards, get them now while they're super cheap. But I will say that this set, has an issue with the consistency, I think, of the boxes, because every section of a box is like 24. So there's 24 packs in there, and there's 4 quadrants of 6. In those 6, you're either going to get a really hard to find rare, maybe a legendary foil, a legendary, so on and so forth. So technically, baked into the box, there are 4 legendaries, and there's a possibility of getting a 5th or a 6th or so on. It is imperative that they actually fix this, because they found out how this distribution went out. I believe I saw in an interview that they are actually going to be changing up that consistency in set 3, which is a good thing to see and a good thing to hear. Overall, as I said before, this is not a terrible set. However, compared it to set 1 is leagues beyond set 2 in every way, shape, or form. I feel this set is really crappy with legendaries. There's a handful of good legendaries, and there's a handful of bad legendaries. But this is the cheapest set that you can get right now as a new player. Go out there, you can buy a box and see what you get, or you can buy your singles on TCG Player or your favorite card game single site. Once again, thank you very much for listening. Shadows of the Galaxy is not a bad set. However, it does have a lot of potential for these cards to be played in future sets. Thank you very much for watching and listening. Hit the subscribe button for more awesome, cool videos pertaining to Star Wars, not necessarily deck-related stuff. Give me a thumbs up, thumbs down, thumbs sideways, and I want to hear your comments as well. Have a good one, guys. May the Force be with you.